Right, good day students. Welcome to my first video of showing you how to use packet trace, and I'm just going to do an overview as to make you understand what packet tracer is and what makes it a marvelous, cool, awesome tool to have in the networking field. I'm sure some of you have seen the video I posted about the Network Academy. It's posted on YouTube and it's there for you to watch. Right, so I think the first thing I want to look at is just to show you what Packet Tracer looks like, and to give you the menu items and just to explain to you what it's all about. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you that. Right, so in front of me I have a little topology, not topology, it's basically a picture background of a house, right? So it can be any house, but this is just an example of showing you how you would then, let's say you have a scenario where you have to upgrade a network for someone's house, or a client, whatever you building or any place. This is a scenario just to show you. This is a setup what it would look like if you had to put any background in. So I can go out and I can actually go change this background, so that you can see there's the background image. So it's just a background image, um, and then I can go browse and look for another image if I don't want this image, right? But at the moment we're going to leave this image because it's nice and clean, right? So there's things that you need to understand of packet tracer. Packet tracer is a networking tool. Now if we look at here at the bottom, right, so you have your network devices here that I'm clicking on. You then have your under network devices, you then have your router. You'll learn later on about what's a router. So that is a router. You also have a switch. That's a switch. You also have a hub, wireless devices. So if I click on that, it will go give me all the wireless devices that you get. These are all the hubs, and these are all the different switches, right? And that's also different models of routers that you get. So in this case, I just showed you two devices. You can just remove those. Another way is if you want to undo, you can just click on the undo button here, or redo, as you can see here. If I do undo and I redo, it will delete them again because I'm just doing an undo. Right, and these are your menu bar. So that is a select button to select, a magnifier glass, that is to delete, that's to resize, and that is to place a note. So sometimes when you're busy with building a network, you could then place a note, and then you would say maybe this is the yard, and then that note would be there for the yard just to give a description. You can maybe say that that's the pool. So in case you need to put something there, then you know that's the note. So these are notes that you can leave when you build your topology. You can also go undo them, or not really. You can just do select everything and just say delete, and then remove the notes. Another thing also you can have is you can draw a line. So there is the options to draw a line. So if you wanted to select something, then you can do that, or you can go straight, or you can do a circle. So these are ways where you can, if you build your logical topology, then these are where the lines are important, not really in the physical view, right? So most time when you get pre-packet tracer, just undo that, select all of that, delete. Most times when you open packet tracer, you don't see this. You normally would see the logical view. So that's a physical view, that's a logical view. Now you would normally see something like this, blank page, and this is where you start building topology. What we did now is we just went to add a normal background image. This is what we did. So just to explain to you what makes packet tracer cool, I can now go up and I can now go into my physical view, and there is the world view. So this is called the intercity. Now let's say I would want to have a picture of it, so I can then go and click on the background, and maybe let's say I want to um, add a world map. So I can go to my downloads, and let's say I want, maybe I want that picture of the map of, yeah, Let's say I want that picture, right? And I say apply, and then that now becomes my new intercity, right? So that is my world map, right? When I click and I click go another level in after my intercity, and I just click on that, then I'm in my home city. So this is my home city, right? So let's say my home city, I want to view that, that's the world. So I actually want to be, let's call it, it's a house city. You could call it Cape Town, right? So let's say you call it Cape Town, which is your home city. Or you could just make a nice view of, that's a city, right? So anyway, you could go anyway. So let's call it Cape Town, and then that becomes your city, right? And then in the city, you now select where you want to have your building or your closet, because in the third level is your corporate office, where your office resides. So let's say you want this office to have a nice background, so um, you could change it if you want to, or you can leave it so as is, because this is the office. So there is your wiring closet, and your wiring closet is where everything will be connected. So this is where all your cabling, your switches, your routers goes in. So this is just to show you what a real life physical packet tracer would look like. So you're putting yourself in that real world scenario. So when I click on the wiring closet, I then have these racks. So let me just zoom out. So as you can see, there is my 3 racks, and there is the power distribution devices. These are power plugs for your devices, right? Scroll down there, it's another rack. So I have 3 racks. I could also just remove the 1 rack, or just have 1 rack, but at the moment I have 3 racks, right? So let's select, let's see, so there's the 1 rack, and you can see that there's the distribution device. So these are when you add power distribution devices, right? So let me just zoom out and click on that, and let's say I want to connect a switch here. So what I do is then I'll just click on router. Let's say choose router, you drag it in there, and then it becomes one of a device in your rack, and that's what your router would look like. So let's say you want to have a switch, then you choose one of the switches, you add it, and there's your switch. This is where you build your whole network. So this is like a real wiring closet, what a network wiring closet look like. Now let's say you wanted to connect this device now. So you have your switch, you have your router that goes out to the internet, then you use your cabling. So you can then use straight through cable. Straight through cable would be, that's straight through cable. Now you can just use this to auto detect. So you click on that. So let's say you want to have um, this cable connecting to your switch. When you click on it, and it will automatically connect, because this is automatically chosen connection type. Now if you have to manually do it, you just choose any of these cables here, right? So this is, I'm just giving you an overview of what packet tracer is and what it makes it cool. So this is like your rack, your router, your switch. Now you have a visual view of what your wiring closet would look like. So if I zoom out, then that is my 1 rack. Now let's say I have more devices. So if you have something like a computer lab or something, you would have more switches. So you could either have a big switch, or you could have a big multi-layer switch like that. Let me just remove that switch. Not really needed for this topology. So let's click on it, and to remove a device, you click on the device, or you click on delete. So you select the device, in this case here, and then just remove it. Click on it, remove, click on it, remove. If I didn't want this rack, I can remove this rack. If I don't want this, then I just click on delete, and then select what I want to delete. And at the moment here, we have only 1 wiring closet, alright, 1 rack, sorry. So let's just zoom out, and now that's the cool thing. So you have your router, you have your switch, and let's say you want to add a, where is that multi-layer switch? Let's just switch empty, switch set to 6. This is a, looks like a nice switch. Let's see, that's a multi-layer switch. What switch is that? It's also a multi-layer switch. What switch is that? It's more like in a, it's a different model. So let's not play with these switches. I'm just dragging switches. So we're just here to learn the basics of routing and switching. So there you can have your switches. So we add switches, we add switches. So there you have like 4 different rooms, or let's say depending on how big your network is. And then what you do is when you want to connect them, you just click on switch, and then that can go in by a router. You can also do that, and if there's a port available, you can do that. Sometimes you have to connect the switch to each other so that you have a better connection, but that is when you build your network. So let's remove the other switches and let's just have those switches there. So for instance, this is our setup now. So we're building a topology. Now you want to have a PC to connect, because remember you need a PC to connect to the switches to control it. So then what you do is you go to your end devices, you choose PC, and what you do that, it builds a PC on a table. So if you look, if I zoom out, you will see there's your PC. And then let's say I want to connect and I need to configure the switch now. And what you do is you just click on the PC. First go to the PC and then see what network input it has. So I'm going quick through this, but we'll go through this step by step. So if you look at the PC, it has a fast Ethernet, right? And if I scroll down, you will see the, if I zoom in, the PC is on at the moment. You will see that it has a fast Ethernet network card. Now let's say I wanted a different card and I don't really want this card. And what I do is I switch the PC off first. Right, so I'm switching the PC off and I remove this card. So I don't want this card, right? You can leave that in. So let's say now I want to look at maybe this one. In the description you will see at the bottom what the card is used for. So that is for a telephone cable. That is more for a LAN backbone which can support better connections. That is for fast Ethernet. So I think this is what you want. You want a fast Ethernet. So let's say I want that, and I put that there, right? Do you have my fast Ethernet port? Now I can switch my PC on, and I can then go to the connection, connect my PC, and let's see if it can connect. Click on my PC. No, that's not going to work. So let's click first on the switch. So let's zoom in. So now we have our switch and we have our PC. So what we want to do is we want to connect copper straight, right? Because no, not copper. It needs to be a console because we cannot configure this. So we need to find our console cable. There's our console cable. Connect to your PC, fast Ethernet, and then the device you want to connect to. So either be this, and we say console. So now you have your PC connected via the blue console cable, and that cable, obviously you can't see the end of it, is going to your one switch at the bottom. And this is when you physically have to configure things in a real world, right? So you could also use a laptop, but in this case we're using a PC. So when I click on this PC and I go to the config or to the desktop, and let's say I go into the terminal, let's say terminal, and I say okay, it would then load the terminal, and then it will probably, if it's connected the way it's supposed to be, it will load the switch information. But then for that to happen, I need to switch on the switch because the switch is off. Remember, there's my power distribution. So let's see if the switch is on. That is the switch, and make sure the power is on. Yeah, the switch is on. There's your switch, right? So then you can start configuring the switch. If let's say the PC don't need to be connected, then you can do it the other way around. So this is just to show you quickly what make packet tracer cool. Also, if I go out of the wiring closet and I go out, then I basically now go out and back into my intercity view. So you could change this map, and this is just basically showing you that this is your world view, right? So if I zoom in, you will see that there is my home city, Cape Town. So I can move that there and then say that is Cape Town. When I click on that, it goes to Cape Town, and then you find your building. Click on your building, there's your building. So this could be a floor plan depending on the setup. So like I said, this is where you can do your setup. And when you click on that, then you insert your wiring closet. Let's go back in there, and then here you can just zoom out, and then you can see there's your wiring closet. Now let's say you wanted you finish with building this whole physical view, and then you go to your logical view, and your logical view will show you. Now this is a bit all over the show, but it will show you what your connection looks like. So in your logical view, then what you connected now, you did this setup. There's your PC, there's the switch that you connected to, and there's the router. So we could move this away from that, because what we're trying to demonstrate here is just to show you what it would look like when you build it, like your topology. So there's your topology. We can move that closer, and in a way, just zoom out. That's what it looks like, right? That's your devices. You have a router, you have a switch, and you have a PC connected to the console cable. So that is just to show you what your logical view would look like when you build packet tracer. So obviously what you will do is you will get, I'm going to make an example. So I'll open up a sample, don't save anything. And let's say I go to a wireless setup, and I would say that setup. Right, so this would load another packet trace example which would look like this. But this is not what I want to see. I want to see a topology. So let's say open sample. No. And let's choose any of these. Home router. And we choose VLAN DHCP. Let's try that. Hope it will be a full network. Yeah, something like that. So there you can see there's your whole setup, and that's what a network would look like. So you have Ethernet here, you have voice over IP, and you have an IPTV here, but this is just advanced network. But so when I go to physical, you will see home city, corporate office, and there is all the pieces connecting outside the wiring closet. So if I go back to logical, you will see that these are the things that's outside your wiring closet, and this is your web server. So if I go back to physical, and then you will see, wow, this looks nice. There you can see what your closet looks like, right? So you can see you have a power distribution device, which is the power, and there's your packet tracer router, right? There's your ISP router, and there's your web server, right? Oh no, that's your hub. Here's your web server. So this is what it looks like in a physical view, and this is with you without even building the rack. Because as soon as you build your logical topology, you can just go to physical and look at it how it would looks like really inside a rack. And this would help you also to understand what a rack is, how does networking work, and why you end up having switches and routers inside a rack, as in this example. So I hope this helped you just to give an overview of what packet tracer is, and to just give you an understanding of why we're going to use it for our networking subject, and the practical sides also of it. We're not going to configure much, but we're just going to see if we can build that topology, and especially for your project, your activity that you're going to get soon, and to assist you with that. Now let's say I wanted to send a packet from this PC to that PC via this network, right? Because this is a working network. Then there's something called real-time and also to simulate something, right? So you have a simulation and you have a real-time. Now we are now in real time, right? And in real time you can see there is a PDU, right? So when I do this and I click on that PC and I click on that PC, that's what will happen in real time when it sends from that PC to that PC. But now let's say you want to simulate it, right? Then you have the simulation, which should be here, and then the simulation will then allow you to show you in a panel what happens when you send the traffic. So in this case we're looking at the ICMP protocol, which is the ping protocol, and when I do this and I hit play, there the packet is going through the router, checking, because I'm doing a ping now, going to the PC, and then the PC acknowledge, remember this is TCP connection, then it goes back, um, and back and forward till the PC responds and say, okay, I can reach PC 4, I think it was 4 we selected, now PC 0 to PC 6. So that is your whole simulation that you can do inside Packet Tracer. Now I could play this and let it go faster, because then the time will go fast, because remember networking happens fast. So you could then also delete the scenario if you don't want it. Or another thing is to view the whole scenario. I think we're busy deleting it and the packet trace is loading, so that's why it's loading. But let's say you wanted to view the packet and you want to see the PDU. Then there's a way to click on the ICMP, right? Just waiting for my PC to respond. Right, so there you will see we deleted the PDU. So when we go and press play, um, let's press play, and then we see what happens. Right, so let's see what happens now when we press play. So we made it faster, and we're gonna press play, and then see what happens. You see how quick that information travels? And it's doing a ping across all the devices, but it only wants to reach the one PC6. And that acknowledged, so the ping goes across all the devices, but it only reaches the one PC. So let's pause that. Now let's say you wanted to view the PDU packet. Then what you do is you can click on the ICMP, and that will open up your OSI model. Remember you learned about the OSI model in the previous chapters, where Mr. Sri discussed the OSI model. Here you can see a nice view of what the OSI model looks like. You can see layer 7 up until layer 1, and actually what happens inside the layers. And that explains you also what the OSI layer is also in a nice view. You could also see the outbound PDO details. This just gives you more about what's a protocol data unit. I'm not going to go into depth with that, but that shows you also there's the source IP, the destination IP, and all the information that happens on that PDU. So the nice thing about this is it shows you what your OSI layer looks like, and you could go through the layers, and then you would see what it actually does when the PDU sends information. So when we go to the PC here, the last PC, and we click on that, you would see that this is a wireless layer. So this is wireless, but the thing is we didn't ping that device, we didn't ping to that, but we ping to this PEC6, which is wireless. So when we click on that, you wouldn't see that's the details of a wireless PDU packet. Later on when we learn about Wi-Fi, you will get to this and you will see what contains in a wireless PDU. But this is to show you what the OSI layer is when you do networking and when you send packets. So you can click on any of this ICMP, and then you can see the information is traveling. So there it's on layer 3, which is source destination. That's the TCP that we're using. If we had to use another protocol, we will get more information, but at the moment we're just viewing ICMP. Alright, thank you. So I hope this helps you understand what packet tracer is and what we'll do. So this in a nutshell, it's 24 minutes, but this is to give you an idea of what packet tracer is and what we'll do with it. And also if you go through the packet tracer self-study course, you'll learn more about that. Later on we'll do IoT, which I'll explain to you what IoT is, and just give you an overview of what it would look like. So I think if I go to open Let's not save that, and I go back to downloads, documents, downloads. I'm just showing you what a smart home would look like when we get to IoT. We're not going to get into detail with IoT, but it's part of learning what packet trace is. And that's what a smart home look like. And if I had to look at a real smart home where everything is there, then you would then see something like environment. Yeah, let's call it registration server, or let's call the smart home network. Maybe that will show us everything. So a smart home network would then have all your IoT devices like that. So there you can see you have a smart door, smoke detector, temperature monitor, a home gateway, which is the switch which is a router that allows all your devices to connect. You have a solar panel, a battery charging because of the solar panel, and also a coffee maker, which is a remote coffee maker, and a light smart lamp. So this is to show you what IoT is and how it works. Even if we go into the physical topology, and if you want to see what it looks like, you just your home setting, and there is your whole setup. So as you can see, these are like, let's call it your house, the layout of your house, and that's what all the devices looks like, and all of them are connecting to your little rack, which is where your internet server is, the network switch, and then obviously the cloud going out to the internet. So that just shows you what your whole network looks like in a physical view, and that's your logical view of your IoT device. Right? Thank you.